This session of person demographic training will look at address changes. Address changes not only affect the individual record, but also any record that is related through parents or other family members. When changing addresses for active students, departments are designated to work with the various constituencies. To determine who will change the address, you will go to the My Redlands portal, Miscellaneous tab, Colleague Core Resources, Guide to Core Decisions. These changes are made by users with the appropriate access. For instance, Registrar's Office will change the addresses for current students, College of Arts and Sciences, School of Education, School of Business, and School of Continuing Studies. This information comes in through WebAdvisor, which allows the student to log in and change an address, check in, walk into Registrar's Office, and various other means. Advancement Services changes address for alum, friends of the U of R, trustees, donors, and other constituencies. The individual will contact the AdServ office and the change will be accomplished appropriately. Business and Finance changes addresses on vendors and businesses when they are notified of a change. To better understand the address change process, it is valuable to know how Colleague stores addresses. The Colleague database is designed to avoid duplication of data and use the least amount of space as possible. Records can be related rather than repeated or separate instances of data. When individuals are identified as members of the same household, Colleague stores the household data only once. There is then a pointer to the specific household address in the person record for each household member. When changing an address for a household member, Colleague automatically gives you the opportunity to change the address of any or all of the other household members. Personal addresses are maintained on the ADSU address summary screen and on ADR, the person addresses screen. A record is selected in which the address will be changed. Check the summary of addresses on ADSU to verify if the new address has been marked as a former address or if no address matches the new one. When changing addresses, the ADR screen has several fields that need to be populated. They are, and let me open up a record here. And we want to do trainer 6. And we just want to view a blank screen at this moment. We select ADR. Some of these fields are the address fields. Since you're changing an address, you do need to fill out this information along with the city-state zip field. You also have mail preferred. This is the mailing address where all correspondence will be mailed to and is also the address which will show on the NAE screen. Only one address can be marked preferred. If another address is marked preferred, it will be changed to indicate no longer preferred. Preferred residence address. This is the physical address where the person lives. A post office box address will have this option marked as N or no. Seasonal addresses. This is the mailing address where correspondence will be sent during a specific period of time. Not all offices will use this option and is not required. Enter a start and end date. This will override the preferred address during the time designated. Only add 2 for month and 2 for day. No year is needed. Status. This needs to be selected as current, former, or pending. The current will have an effective start date listed here. On the ADR screen for a former address, it is important to verify that the record has been marked as former with an end date or an effective end date, which is right here. Pending is when a notification is received for an address change that has not taken place. When the address is entered, a future date can be entered into the start date field. Once the pending address becomes current, go into ADR to make the pending address current and the current address former. Type. This is a required field and the box is outlined in red for all addresses and allows you to categorize the address. So there are various options here. If a seasonal address is recorded, this field will need to be marked seasonal. The change source. It is very important that when you change an address, you tell the system why it was changed. Was it a change form? Was it a death notification, email change request, general survey? Was it an input error? Returned mail, application, check-in card, and various other options. Once you have the address in, you will click on Save, and it will save the information. You will verify the information on the ADSU screen, and then save out. To change an address, we're going to cancel out of here. We have our person up in the context area, so we're going to go to the ADSU screen. And to change an address, you go to there and look at various information. You have the address lines. You have the status of preferred. You have residence. And you have the type of address it is. So when you look at an address, you can determine what is current, what needs to be marked former, or if there's an address here that can be reverted back to active or current. In this case, there is no address that the person has requested. So we'll go to the current address, and there's only one person or resident, and we'll detail in on this. To change the address, all you need to do is type in the new information over the existing information. So now we have the new address in front of us. There's no modifier, there's no additional information. It's not a business, so we do not need to fill that out. We put in the zip code to where the person is moving. So they are now in Iowa. Does not have country on there or county, but you'll notice it did go immediately to the type. Again, it is very important to put in what type of address this is. And since this has been requested to change a home address, we select home. They said this is their preferred mailing address, so yes, we're going to change it to that. And it's going to be their preferred residence. The effective start date, put it in. It automatically put in current. We'll mark the change source, since we know it's not a seasonal address. We do it as an application, and we update. Whenever you see this, you do want to keep an address history. The only time you would mark it no would be an input error. You do not need to keep an address history for input error. Everything else you need to keep a history. So we click on yes or Y. And now it says the new current. The other one is now former. And we'll scroll through just to verify. And there's the former address. On this address, it does say home, but the thing is there's multiple people in there. When you have a record with more than one connections to addresses, you can change all those addresses at the same time. what you will do, again, you go to the ADSU screen and look up your person. And we're going to look up Trainer 12. And we do it with this SoundX /. And we find the person we're looking for. Okay, they have a current and a former. And you'll notice that the current has 2 residents and the former only has 1. But they want to change this particular address. So we detail in on it. And now we're able to change it. And now they've moved to Illinois. You'll notice again that once I did enter, after putting the city, state, zip information, it went immediately to the type. So we do know this is current and it's a home. It's going to be the preferred male and preferred residence. I put the effective start date in here and current. We need to put in the change source. Why was this changed? So we're going to do email change request, update. And unlike the other address change, this immediately goes to a new form called ADRM, and that's address move. You'll notice it has the new address listed. It will have the old address listed. And it will also list the residents. Since we made the name change on Trainer 12, it automatically says update and yes. Did Trainer 13 move with Trainer 12? If not, you can leave it no, and the old address will remain on this record, and the new address will be put on Trainer 12. If you want to change Trainer 13, you would just type in yes, because you always want to keep a history, and you want to save and update. Now on the current address, both residents are now listed with this. The former address is listed as former. And we want to do a save all. Whenever this is accomplished, it is referred to as householding. It is very important that whenever a change is made, that is done consistently. If you are not sure if other addresses should be changed, ask your supervisor. It is also notable that histories are kept for both address and name changes. It is very important that we have those histories on those. Addresses are not deleted but marked former. We never delete an address or a record. If there is an input error on an address, it is corrected on the current record and the change source is marked input error. This is the end of session for address changes. Next session will be dealing with personal relations. Thank you.